Welcome to the class. Let's talk about contract of indemnity. Section 124 and 125 of Indian Contract Act talks about contract of indemnity. There are only these two sections which are dealing with contract of indemnity in the entire Indian Contract Act. Okay, so let's see what section 124 says. Okay, this section is defining a contract of indemnity. It says a contract of indemnity is a contract whereby one person promises to save another from a loss caused to him, either by the act of the promiser himself or by the act of a third party. Okay, I'll explain the point. Basically, this is a promise to save another person, or rather we can put it this way, that it is a promise to save or make good a loss. There are two things in this kind of contracts which is very important. Okay, the first thing is that the promise is to save another person from a loss. For example, A promises to B that in case if there is a fire in your house and you suffer from any damage, I will make good the loss. Okay, so here the contract is to save B from a loss. That is the first part of the contract. Okay, now the second part of the contract says that that loss is a contingent event. We have already learned about contingent contracts. Contingent contract is one which the performance of which will depend upon either the happening or the non-happening of an uncertain future event. So see clearly here in this case, the loss is something which might happen in the future. So promise is to save another person in case if that loss happens. Okay, and therefore in every contract of indemnity there is a promise to save another from a loss, and a contract of indemnity generally is a contingent contract. Okay, now the third and the most important part of the contract says this loss which is contingent may be either by the act of the promiser, it can also be an act of a third party. I'll give you an example and explain this point. Okay, say for example, A wants to shoot a film in B's house. A found this house of B suitable for shooting his film. Okay, so in this case, A is approaching B and asking for permission. B says, I will not give my house for shooting because B is afraid the process of shooting might damage the beauty of B's house. They may alter the interiors, they may change the color of the paint, they may do away with the gardening, something or the other. These are the fears of B. So here A promises to B that I promise you I'll be decent enough. I'll not do anything in your house. I will not alter anything. And in case if anything happens to your house due to my action, I will make good the loss. I will indemnify you from that loss. Okay. This is a contract of indemnity in which the promiser promises to make good the loss of the promisee. The loss might arise from the action of the promiser. Okay, now in the same example, let us expand the example. In this case, A wants to shoot the film in B's house. Since B is not giving permission, C is telling B. C is entering into a contract with B whereby C promises that A will be decent enough. He will not cause any damage to your house. In case if he does anything, or in the process if you have suffered any injury, I will make good the loss. Okay, so be careful. In this case, one person is promising to save another person from a loss, but the loss might be caused by a third party. In both these cases, the contract is a contract of indemnity. Okay, is that clear? Okay. Now, therefore, in every contract of indemnity, there are two parties. Who are they? There is an indemnifier. Indemnifier is the person who promises to save another person from a loss caused to him. Now, who is the second party? The indemnified or indemnity holder. Okay, this is the person who receives the promise. Who is the promisee in this case? Who will be indemnified. Okay, so in every contract of indemnity, there are two parties, indemnifier and indemnity holder. Okay, so Section 124 is defining a contract of indemnity. It also talks about the parties of contract of indemnity. They are indemnifier and indemnity holder. Now let's see what Section 125 says. Okay. Section 125 is talking about rights of an indemnity holder. Indemnity holder is the promisee in this case, and since he has received a promise that his loss will be made good by the promiser, in that capacity, means acting within the authority of a contract of indemnity, indemnity holder can claim. What he can claim? Let's see. All losses. That means in that process, whatever loss he has suffered, it could be a direct loss as promised by the indemnifier, or it could be an indirect loss because in the process, maybe he had to file a case, maybe he had to defend a suit. In the process, he might have incurred other losses in approaching the court, in filing a case, in hiring a lawyer. All those losses which he has suffered as a part of the matter which is covered within the contract of indemnity, all such losses can be claimed by an indemnity holder. Okay, now let's see what else. All cost. This Section 125 specifically says that in case the indemnity holder had to file a suit for claiming the amount or for any other matter within the authority of the contract of indemnity, he can claim all the cost which he has suffered in maintaining or defending a suit. Okay, now the third one, all sums. It can also happen that the suit he filed, at a later stage, he entered into a compromise. Many things, in many cases, these things happen that at the end of the day, they will enter into a compromise and they will not push the legal proceeding. So as a part of compromise, he might have given some money. Whatever money he had given as a part of compromise, which is within the authority of the contract of indemnity, also can be claimed from the indemnifier. Okay, so section 125 says that indemnity holder who is acting within the authority can claim all the losses, all the costs and all the sums which he has incurred as a part of the contract of indemnity. Okay, now I have two more case laws regarding this. Okay, these two case laws are important in a sense that, see, look at the first case law, M. Shyam Singh versus State of Mysore. It's an old case law, 1972. Okay, this case law is an example to show what all kinds of contract can be a contract of indemnity. In this case, the person who was going, he is a scholar who got a scholarship from the government of India, going abroad for studies, entered into an indemnity bond. What the bond says, that I'll come back after my studies and I'll serve the nation for next 5 years as a doctor. Okay. And as a part of the contract, he also agreed that in case if I fail to come back and serve the nation, I will indemnify, or rather I will compensate the government whatever expenditure the government has incurred. Not only the expenditure the government has incurred, but the loss the government suffers due to his not coming back and serving the country. Okay, so the court held that this is a typical example of a contract of indemnity and the party will be bound by the contract as an indemnifier. Okay, now let's look into the second case. The second case is important as far as the answer to the question that when the liability of indemnifier starts. General understanding is that indemnifier's liability starts when there is a loss, isn't it? Because the contract is a promise to compensate another from a loss. And therefore, generally it is construed that liability arises only when there is a loss. But in this case, the court held that, see, 1929, it is a very old case. It said that the liability will arise when the loss is certain. You need not wait for the actual loss to happen and then to compensate the party. Instead, when it is sure, when the indemnity holder is certain that the loss is going to happen, from that moment onwards, the liability of the indemnifier starts and the indemnity holder can claim the amount without suffering the loss if the loss is certain. Okay, so these two case laws explain what is contract of indemnity and how contract of indemnity works. Okay, so this is the basic of contract of indemnity. As I told you, there are only two sections in Indian Contract Act. One is defining the contract of indemnity and the other section talks about the rights of an indemnity holder. Okay, I hope it's clear to you. So see you in another video. Till then, bye.